Today in this episode, I'm analyzing Timothy Busfield's verbal and nonverbal behaviors and his statement denying the allegations of child sex abuse and child abuse. In this episode, I'm going to share with you what I see and hear in his behavior that either is going to tell me whether or not I think he's telling the truth and he's believable and honest, or whether he's lying. Now, you don't know yet, but you will in a minute. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the video all the way through. And then I'm going to play it again, and I'm going to pause after everything that I think that you should know that can indicate whether or not a person is lying to you or telling the truth. So here we go. So before I play the video in its entirety, which is pretty short, let me just say that I'm not going to do a deep dive into this case. So I won't be discussing what's come out in the courtrooms on either the defense side or prosecution side, or the fact that he passed a polygraph, or the fact that the parents of the two young boys who are alleging sex abuse are con artists. So I'm just going to keep that aside for the case right now and just really focus on the human behavior of Timothy Busfield, what I see and what I hear. So let me play the video in its entirety. Here you go.
Yes. Hi, everybody. It's Tim. I'm sure most of you know that are watching this that I was ordered to come to Albuquerque. I'm here now. I got the call Friday night. I had to get a lawyer. Saturday, I got in a car and drove 2,000 miles to Albuquerque. I'm going to confront these lies. They're horrible. They're all lies. And I did not do anything to those little boys. And I'm going to fight it. I'm going to fight it with a great team. And I'm going to be exonerated. I know I am, because this is all so wrong and all lies. So hang in there. And hopefully I'm out real soon and back to work. And I love everybody for supporting me. Thank you.
After seeing this video, three major indicators jump off the screen to me and say, hey, these are red flags that are telling me this guy can't be trusted. The first one, it's how he speaks. The rate of his speech is real slow. It's contrived. It's as though he's struggling to think of what to say, with all of the filler words, the ums, the ahs, stopping, the stuttering. That tells me that he has stress. And when people get stressed out because of cortisol going off in the body, they will leave their prefrontal cortex. That's the rational thinking part of the brain, which allows us to communicate clearly and precisely. But when we have anxiety, we lose cognitive abilities because now we tip into our limbic brain, right? Our emotional brain. And the fact that this guy is really struggling with the filler words and the stuttering to just convey a simple message tells me he has a lot of anxiety. But the question is why? Why would you have all of this stress and not be able to communicate clearly with regards to these allegations if you're really truthful and honest about them? So I think he's hiding information, number one. You also will notice, and I'll get into it when I dissect the video piece by piece, is that he never fully addresses the allegations themselves. He just avoids talking about them. And he uses this softening language and vague language and says, I didn't do anything. Well, we're not talking about anything. We're talking about some pretty heavy allegations against you. But he never takes accountability for that. And never, not once, do I hear him say, I didn't commit child sex abuse or child abuse. Not once, ever. And I would expect to hear that from a truthful person. So we have the stuttering, the filler words, that struggling to think of what to say and how to communicate it. The second thing is his palms. When people are open and honest, they will show you their palms of their hands, right? I'm open, I'm honest, I have nothing to hide. When people have something to hide, they turn them inwards. It's as though they're protecting their lie, they're protecting their reputation, they're hiding their true feelings of anxiety with lying, they are hiding something, right? Open palms, showing you my hand, being honest and open. I've got something that I'm hiding from you. This is a dead giveaway. It's almost as though they're bringing that lie in close so you can't see it. And the last thing is that vague word, anything. Listen, I have done a lot of criminal investigations in my life. I was a former interrogator, as you know, which is why I started this channel. I help still today in analyzing 911 calls and helping in criminal investigations. And when I hear somebody being questioned on a specific allegation and they choose to say, I didn't do anything or I don't know anything, red flag immediately. Because I'm not asking you about anything. I'm asking you about the specific allegation. So that just tells me that you're refusing to take accountability for this allegation. That also tells me you have guilty knowledge or guilty association of the event or the allegation. So, those are the three major behaviors that jumped off the screen to me that said, yeah, I would dig a little further. I don't really trust this statement at all. Now, in the next part of this, I'm going to dissect bit by bit what I see and what I hear. All right, here we go. We're going to do a play by play. I'm going to play a portion of this video. I will talk about what I see and hear, behavioral wise, my analysis, and we'll continue on throughout the rest of the video. It's short, but there's a lot of information here. Here we go.
This. Hi, everybody. It's Tim. I'm sure most of you know that are watching this that I was ordered.
Let me just stop right there. So you can see this kind of rocking back and forth, which is a self-pacifying, self-soothing behavior. This guy is nervous. You can also hear the stuttering in his speech. He is not speaking from an episodic memory. He's not speaking clearly and he's not being definitive in what he's saying. So there's a lot of filler words there, a lot of stuttering. That just tells me that this guy is under stress. When people are under stress and they have worry and anxiety, and especially if they're doubting what they're saying, this is the behavior you will typically see. Because a person who is not stressed can speak clearly and make definitive statements with precision. This guy, I don't hear any of that right now. And what happens when we stress out and cortisol releases in the body is we start to lose our cognitive abilities, such as clear speaking, right? And being concise, because we leave our prefrontal cortex part of the brain and we go to our limbic brain, which is our emotional center. And so those cognitive abilities start decreasing the more stressed out we get. With him, he's starting, the speech is really contrived. There's a lot of stalling and stuttering. And I'm waiting, like, when are we going to get to the meat? Like, when are we going to get to the critical point of this conversation? I haven't heard it yet. And he also does something with his eyes. He does a prolonged eye blink. So it's a blink that lasts a little longer than a natural blink. It's very different from rapid eye blinking. When people increase their blink rate and they start really fluttering their eyelids and they do not have a problem with their contact lens, they don't have an eyelash or a foreign object in their eye, and they don't have dry eye syndrome because you have to baseline behaviors. And all of a sudden, they start to blink rapidly. That also tells me that cortisol has released in your body and you're stressing out, because when cortisol releases in the body, we dry out in two places, which is our mouths and our eyes. He doesn't do that. He does a prolonged eye blink. And that can be one of three things. It can mean number one, I'm closing my eyes to visualize the thing, the event, so I can tell it to you accurately. Number two, I just experienced something emotional and traumatic and I'm blocking it out. Number three, I have negative emotions right now, and most people don't like to lie and look at you in the face, so I'll close my eye as I do it. So it's one of those three things, but I see that prolonged eye blink. Let's continue on.
To come to Albuquerque. I'm here now.
All right, we see the palms automatically coming in. Now, the fact that this video, he takes so much emphasis on the fact that he's in Albuquerque, and he even turns around to point to the scenery behind him to prove that he's in Albuquerque. We don't care, right? So, what was more important is the fact that he evaded law enforcement and he drove to Albuquerque. So I, in this statement, would expect him to focus on the charges, to focus on the criminal event, to focus on the allegations. But he doesn't. It just seems that more emphasis is placed on the fact that he drove 2,000 miles to Albuquerque. To me, that's a smokescreen, right? He's trying to buy our favor. He's trying to get us to believe that he's an honest person, but the emphasis is on the wrong part of the information. Let's continue on.
I got the call Friday night. I had to get a lawyer. Saturday, I got in a car, drove 2,000 miles to Albuquerque.
You still see this dip in the head, right? And this moving of the body, which to me is just him trying to pacify himself, settle the cortisol and anxiety.
I'm going to confront these lies. They're horrible. They're
Now, here again, I'm going to confront these lies. Why are his palms in? If he truly was open and honest about that and believed what he was saying, his palms would be facing out. With him saying, I'm going to confront these lies and balling up, it just tells me he doesn't trust what he's saying. And if he doesn't trust what he's saying, well, I'm certainly not going to. So why would he not trust the statement, I'm going to confront these lies? Because they're probably not lies. Let's continue on.
all lies. And I did not do anything to those little boys.
Now, there's the statement that grabbed my attention immediately and told me, Lena, don't believe this guy. So, we're talking about allegations of child abuse and child sex abuse. He says, and let me quote, I did not do anything to those little boys. Anything? We're not talking about anything. We're talking about allegations of child abuse and child sex abuse, not anything. That's vague language. It's a smokescreen saying, I'm not going to get into this. It's distancing. I don't want to talk about the specific allegation. It's too close to home, but it's just vague. I can look at you guys right now and say, I didn't do anything to the little boys. What does that mean? I should expect him to say, I didn't commit child abuse or child neglect or whatever the allegations are with those little boys. I want something definitive. I want you to tell me what you did and didn't do. I don't want to hear I did not do anything. That's such a common deflective move for liars. Pay attention when you hear people say that. Let's continue on.
Uh, I'm going to fight it.
All right, here we have a lot of stuff coming out. He says, and I'm, and as he does that filler word, he looks away and he says, I'm going to fight it. Then why are you shaking your head now? He should, if he truly believes that he's going to fight this and he can win and he can fight it, he should be nodding in agreement. But here we see him shaking his head now. I'm going to fight this. It just tells me that that doubt of being able to fight these allegations is there. Why would there be doubt? Because maybe he's not being honest about them. Let's continue on.
I'm going to fight it with a great team. And I'm going to be exonerated. I know I am because
And again, I'm going to be exonerated. He's still shaking his head no, which just tells me he doesn't believe he is.
this is all so wrong and all lies.
Now, this statement, this is also wrong. What are we talking about? It's so vague that I have no idea what he's even talking about at this point. What does this equal? What is also wrong? Right? This, allegations of child sex abuse, is also wrong. It's criminal. Those are the words I want to hear. But what he's saying is too vague for me to believe him.
So hang in there, and hopefully I'm out real soon, and back to work. And
Right there, that cognitive overall, that cortisol dump, that heavy stutter. He doesn't know where to go. He is under extreme amounts of anxiety. Now, the question is it from lying? Is it from just doing this video? I think it's both, in my professional opinion. And sometimes, though, people would hit that cognitive overload, not from lying, just from anxiety. But the easiest way you can determine whether or not somebody's hitting cognitive overload because they're lying is you will see in here deceptive indicators, as I am with this statement. Let's continue on to the very end.
love everybody for supporting me. Thank you. We
All right, that's the only time his hands come out. I love everybody for supporting me. All right, so there's my analysis of his short video statement against the allegations of child abuse and child sex abuse. So I forgot to mention that I developed an app that scans words and sentences for truth and deception. And it's called Truth Scan AI. It's a web-based app that you can put on your phone. You can put in text messages, documents, emails, anything you want, as I did Timothy Busfield's statement, and it will give you an analysis of the credibility, right? So it gives you a credibility assessment, and Timothy Busfield's was like 40%. I trained the AI to look for and pick up on every verbal indicator of truthfulness and deception. So I know it's very accurate. And when it does, it will give you not only a credibility assessment of the statement, but it will tell you why. So in Timothy Busfield's statement, there was distancing language, convincing language, the stuttering, the smoke screening. So it will tell you all that. Now, no app out there, no machine is 100% accurate. We know this, but they're pretty close. And here's what they do for you. If you use my app, it just highlights red flags and it tells you these are the areas where you need to focus on and maybe ask more questions. Because at that point, if the person is lying to you, well, you deserve the truth, but you have to get the truth. So that's the importance. Anytime you work with any type of lie detecting technology, you want to make sure that you use it for the purposes of helping you have a conversation and ask the questions you need to get to the truth. Or if you don't want to waste your time doing that, let's say the relationship's not that important, well, at least end the relationship. It can help you in your personal lives and your professional lives. So if you're interested, check out Truth Scan AI.